Hey, welcome to the Simple Nutrition Podcast, a show that helps you learn practical and actual nutrition tips from an expert. I am your host, Leonila Campos, a registered dietitian with over 8 years of experience in the nutrition field. Hey, welcome back to another episode in the Simple Nutrition Insights Podcast. Actually, I am recording this episode as the very first episode for 2025, which is also season 2. I am so excited that I have been able to do this podcast for, it's going to be a year in mid-January. A little bit of background here, just quick storytelling here. I had been so overwhelmed and so hesitant about doing a podcast. I think I was just overthinking things, and I was thinking, how am I going to do it? Like all the logistics about it. And I have a fellow dietitian, shout out to Kim Terapelli, who started her podcast, right? And so we were invited as a panel to talk to students in town. And so she was telling me that she started her podcast, and I asked her, a bunch of questions. I want to say that was November, December. And so then in January, I said, you know what? I'm just going to do some research and just go for it. So ever since then, it's going to be a year in January, mid-January. And so it has been an amazing journey. If you didn't know this about me, I am an introvert. I also don't really talk. I get really nervous talking in public or just public speaking. But I have been doing so much work around that and just making sure that I'm practicing and getting better at it. And I think doing a podcast has really helped me to be more comfortable, to get out of my comfort zone, to really explore that area. And I have been so thankful to being able to do a podcast at least once a week, twice a week sometimes, and to be able to bring in guests. So yeah, it's been amazing. I think I've released over 75 episodes over the year. So thank you so much to my listeners. Thank you so much to whoever is coming week after week to listen to my podcast. I really appreciate it. You have no idea. Just looking at the statistics on the podcast and how much it has grown, and just people that have listened, not only in Fresno where I'm at, but around the world. It's just so amazing to see people from Croatia and New Zealand and England. It's just so amazing. So shout out to everybody that has been following me and listening with season 2. Right. I welcome you with open arms, with my open heart. And I wanted to start with a topic, right, that usually comes, when I get clients and they talk about that, right, like resolutions, and it's the new year, the new me. So as a registered dietitian, right, and founder of Fueled by Leo Inc., which is where I help people like you create sustainable, stress-free nutrition plans, I am really thrilled to kick off this new season with a topic that sets the foundations for success in every area of our life, and that is goal setting. Now, you might ask, why goal setting, right? Because that is essentially the pillar, the basics of everything that we're going to accomplish this year. Not only nutrition related, not only fitness or wellness related. Literally everything that you want to accomplish for this year has to start with goal setting, right? You have to be able to have a roadmap to help you and steer you in the right direction versus like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that, and let's see what happens. And it's just so chaotic, and our brains don't function in a chaotic environment. We might think that they do, but usually structure and organization is what gives us that success. So we're gonna start with goal setting. Now, whether it is to improve your nutrition or build a consistent fitness routine or just feeling better overall, your goals are the roadmap to your success. But setting realistic goals is where most people stumble. So in today's episode, we'll explore why traditional goal setting doesn't always work and how you can create meaningful goals that align with your values and lifestyle. But before I dive in, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes this season. And if you love what you hear, leave a review, as it helps more people to find the show. And I love the reviews, right? So please leave a review. share this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, turn your notifications. This season, I really want to bring in more guests to talk about different topics. So if you have a specific topic that you want me to talk about, please send me a text or send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to find a guest for that specific topic. Okay. Have you ever set a New Year's resolution like, I am going to lose 20 pounds or I am going to exercise every day, not only to give up after a few weeks? Now, you're not alone, right? You might think, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, or like I can't seem to get this done. But actually, this showed that 80% of resolutions fail by February. So you might go into the new year even before, like thinking about these bigger goals, right? And having this resolution and new me, new year, new me. But the research is there, right? That about 80% of those resolutions are going to fail by February. So if that is your case, right? Or if you've been there, let's talk about maybe the reasons why that is. I love these, when I have clients that feel so defeated or that are so frustrated, and then we really sit down and say, you know what? Oftentimes we think that this might be our fault, but in reality, it's probably the situations, our environment, right? Maybe they're not conducive to what we really want to do. And it's not your fault, right? We just have to make a few changes or adjust a few things and really find the challenges. And that's where we have the most success. Let's talk about common pitfalls. Goals that are too vague or overly ambitious. For example, like I want to eat healthier, but we don't even know what that means, right? We don't even know what eating healthy means. So how are we going to be able to accomplish that, right? Or focusing only on outcomes instead of the behaviors. For example, I want to lose weight versus I'll prepare my meals every Sunday, which is what's going to help us to lose weight, right? So as you hear these things, right, I want you to reframe those big or really ambitious goals and break them down into like actionable steps, right, that you can take that, yeah, they are going to lead you to the bigger goal, but you have to be able to do them in a smarter way. Sometimes that lack of a clear plan or accountability, right, can also be a common pitfall. Let me tell you here another little story. Even as a dietitian, right, I've set goals that don't stick. For example, once I tried to say, oh, I am going to post on social media twice a day, every single day, right, for the next, I don't know, I didn't even put it the next 2 months. But I didn't really have a plan, right? I didn't have a roadmap or actionable steps as to how I was going to do that. So to say the least, by the end of the first week, I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Like I'm really struggling to even post once a day. So it really felt that burned out, right? So I think, even as a professional, I struggle with this at times too, when my goals are really vague or so ambitious. Like, yeah, I have the desire to do it, right? I have the goal to do it, but I don't have the steps, right? Like I haven't really created a plan to get it done. So let's talk about how we can change that, right? Smarter way to set our goals. And I've talked about this framework in the past, but of course I want to reintroduce it as it's the new year. And that is SMART framework, right? So to set yourself up for success, try using the SMART framework, SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's how you want to create every single goal that you have, right? Make it SMART. Use the SMART framework because it's really going to help you to be successful. So let's break it down and give you some examples here. Specific. Instead of saying, I want to eat healthier, try, I'll include a vegetable with lunch and dinner, right? You are eating healthier, but you are very specific about it, right? Like, how am I going to make these meals healthier? You're specifying that you are going to add a vegetable with lunch and dinner. Very specific. Now, if you want to be even more specific, you can say, I am going to eat broccoli for lunch and cauliflower for dinner, right? Something like that. You already know what you want to do. It's very specific and laid out. And there's not room for like, what if, or like, what am I going to, right? Like you already know it's there. You go to the store, you grab those items, bam, and you're good to go. Measurable. Track progress. How many days do you eat 2 servings of vegetables, right? And if you keep track of it, then it's another way to keep you accountable. You're measuring, okay, this week I ate my 2 vegetables, 1 for lunch and 1 for dinner, 3 times this week. Great, amazing, high five. My goal for next week is to do it 4 times a week, right? Perfect. Measure it, right? Because that's how you're going to be able to see progress. The same thing when you are exercising, right? If you're exercising and you're like not keeping track of your progress, how do you know if you're getting stronger, right? You might feel that you're getting stronger, but are you increasing your weight, right? Or are you keep staying at the same weight for months and months? And it's so easy, and now you're like, okay, I'm so bored because like I'm not challenging myself. But you don't know where you're at, right? Because you haven't been measuring your progress. So measure it as well. A for achievable. Start small. If you're new to cooking, aim for 1 homemade meal per week instead of 7, right? And I do have some clients that say, I hate cooking or I don't like cooking. And as we think about the reasons why, oftentimes it's because we don't know how to do something, right? And when we don't know how to do something, we're not going to like it, right? It's like, this is such a struggle for me. But if we start with something that is achievable, right? Okay, I know how I want to cook. I want to do more homemade meals. But it's so overwhelming at the moment that I cannot do 7 days. But I can start with 1 meal. I can start with 1 day, right? So make it achievable for yourself versus like, making it so difficult for yourself that, at the end of the month in February, you're like, I can do that. I quit weeks ago. Are relevant. So align your goals with your values, right? If you love family meals, focus on cooking together. I think this is such a beautiful one because even though meals can be stressful, right? And I work with these with my clients a lot because oftentimes the meal prepping, the cooking, the cleaning lands on one person only, either the mom or the dad. And it shouldn't be that way, right? Because that person is going to get burned out, especially if they are working, especially if they have other things that they have to work on or things that they have to do. It gets very overwhelming. So if eating together as a family, right, is something that you enjoy, and it aligns with your beliefs, make it a family affair, right? Sit down together and figure out the meals that you want to cook for the week, right? Delegate some tasks, like you wash the vegetables, or when you come home before me, start making the meal, right? Or that the other person is going to wash the dishes, whatever it is. Make it relevant. Also make it that it aligns with your goals, right? And what you want to do and with your beliefs. Because number one, that is going to help you to continue to do that goal, but it's also helping the family. Think about it. T for time bound. Set a deadline. Like, I'll do this consistently for 1 month and then reevaluate, right? So what is going to set behaviors? What's going to create new habits? It's consistent work, right? And that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen in a matter of a few days. It happens in weeks, right? It can take 4, 6 plus weeks to really get into this new routine, to get into this new habit and new behavior. And so if you're not consistent with it, it's going to take longer. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get there, but it's going to take longer. Sometimes when we have deadlines, it really helps us to put in the work. And as you are measuring your progress, it keeps reminding you of that goal. So set a time, right? If you're saying, okay, I am going to eat a vegetable for lunch and dinner, right? I am going to do this consistently for the next 4 weeks, right? And then once I get there, I am going to reassess. And because I am also, doing it, I am going to see how did I do, right? And maybe if I didn't do so well or I wasn't as consistent, then I'll work on the consistency, right, for the next month, making sure that I am eating those 2 vegetables a day, right, consistently every single day for the next 4 weeks. And that's how you get it done, right? So again, to recap on the breakdown of the SMART framework, right? You have to make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Whatever it is whatever goal that you have right now going into the new year, I want you to break it down into the SMART framework. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's not nutrition related or fitness related, whatever goal it is that you have, make it fit into the SMART framework and you're going to see success. This is research based. Okay, I'm going to give you here another quick story. One of my clients wanted to exercise more, right, but felt overwhelmed. Instead of committing to an hour-long workout every single day, she started with 10-minute walks after dinner 3 times a week. That small habit snowballed into a regular fitness routine that she loves. So when we think about exercise, especially if it's for someone that either hasn't added it consistently or they're new to it, making it a huge goal is going to be an obstacle and a challenge. So start very small, right? Hey, if you think about this goal, right? Like what makes it feel really, really doable that you can say, I can absolutely do that today? That might be a walk, right? I'm just going to do a 5-minute walk, right? Around my office building or around my neighborhood. 5 minutes. I'm going to put a timer. After the timer is up, I'm going to come back. I often don't suggest not going above that because the idea is to make it so simple that you can say, I can do this tomorrow again, or I can do that in 2 days. If you make it so difficult, even though, the idea is to get maybe 60 minutes of exercise a day, but we cannot just jump into it, right? If we know that this is new or if we don't want to do it. Start super simple and build onto that. Again, this is applicable to any single goal that you have. Okay. How can we align our goals with our why, right? With our values? You really have to find your true why, right? Like, why does this matter to me? And it's not just a superficial why that you can say when someone asks you that, okay, why do you want to walk, right? Or why do you want to exercise? And the first thing that comes to mind is not your true why. You have to peel the layers, right? Sometimes it's like asking yourself why 5 times until you get to the really, really the root cause, right? As to why is it that you want to do that? So, for example, goals that stick are tied to your deeper purpose, right? So ask yourself, why is this goal important to me? And having that reflection, right? Like, I want you to, as you're listening to this podcast or, as you go back, if you're driving or you're busy, right? I don't want you to do this if you're not in a safe position, but I want you to grab a pen and paper or even your phone, right? On your notes, or you can even just think about it, right? I want you to ask yourself these next 3 questions. What do you want to achieve? Why is it important to you? And how will you achieve this goal, or how will achieving this goal improve your life? Again, when you're able to, I want you to think, but most specifically, I want you to really write this down, because something about transferring what we're thinking, what we're listening to on paper makes it more tangible. So I want you to write down these next 3 questions and answer them. What do you want to achieve? Number 1, why is it important to you? And number 3, how will achieving this goal improve my life? Again, you can use these 3 questions for any other goals that you want to do for this year. So for example, if your goal is to improve your nutrition, maybe your why is having more energy to play with your kids or feeling confident in your skin. When motivation dips, revisiting your why can keep you on track, because sometimes that's what's going to come down to, right? When we're not motivated, when life happens, we really have to dig deeper and push ourselves, right? When we don't have the energy to do it, or like a million other things are on our to-do list, our true why is what's going to help us get going, right? That discipline is what's going to help us. Okay. So let's get into these actionable ways to get our goals accomplished, right? So tip number 1, start small. Focus on one goal at a time. So I want you to, now that you have this goal, I want you to think about the actionable steps that you have to take to accomplish this goal, right? Again, focus on one goal at a time and try trying to change too much at once can lead to burnout. And I work on this with my clients all the time, right? Oftentimes I hear them say, okay, yeah, my goal is to eat healthy. Okay, let's break this down, right? If you were to say something that you can accomplish in the next day, today, what is that, right? And oftentimes I said, okay, adding more protein. How are we going to do that? I am going to make sure that I'm eating egg whites to my breakfast, or I am going to add a protein shake in the morning when I'm running out of the door. Great. We have specific things that we're working on. Those are your actionable steps. We can do that. Tip number 3 here. Tip number 2, I skipped that one. Build accountability. So you can tell a friend, join a group, or even work with a dietitian like myself as an accountability component that can make all the difference. Oftentimes I get clients that say, you know what, I know what to do. I have the information, I have the knowledge. I basically just want someone that can hold me accountable. That's why I'm coming to see you. They usually tell me that. And that's wonderful, right? I'm here to support you. I'm here to hold you accountable. And I want to be able to cheer you on, but also to guide you on those times when you're like, you know what, I'm struggling really hard. Hey, let's figure out a way to keep going or to maintain what we've done. And once we feel better, once things settle down, let's pick up this pace after that, right? So having an accountability partner or a way to create accountability can make a huge difference. Sometimes we need that, right? Someone that can say, okay, hey, how are you doing with your goals, right? What are the struggles? And sometimes this journey can be lonely. Okay, tip number 3, track your progress, as we said, right? Keep it super simple, a journal, a calendar, right, that you can check off. You can put a calendar, just a little quick template that you can download and put your goal on top. And then you can just cross off the days that you've done it. That's a way to keep you accountable and track your progress. Or a journal, right? Like today, this is my goal and I did it. Or even a simple to-do list, right? That you can do on a daily basis and just check things off. Sometimes I get clients that say, I love checking things off my to-do list. I feel accomplished. Great. Put it on your to-do list. That's a great way to track your progress. Celebrate your wins. My goodness. Oftentimes, I get clients that come to me and the first thing that they start telling me is the things that they haven't done or the failures. But my question to all my clients when we start our session, other than, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? It's, let's talk about the wins, right? What have been your wins this past few weeks or this last week? Because when we focus on the wins, we feel good about ourselves, right? Like that serotonin, that dopamine rush really helps us. And that's what's going to help us with motivation. At times, my clients might think that they don't have any wins, but as we keep talking, right, and we talk about the challenges and we go about our appointment, I always find a win or two. And then we talk about that win or two. Oftentimes as humans, we focus on the things that we should be doing, the things that we shouldn't have done, and we forget the things that we are doing so well. So even if it's just one, even if it's so small, I want you to celebrate that. So celebrate every milestone, no matter how small it is. Progress is progress. You're doing something, and that matters. Okay, my friends, as a recap here for our very first episode of 2025, season 2. Today we talked about why traditional goal setting doesn't always work, how to set SMART goals, and the importance of aligning your goals with your why. Remember that progress is about consistency, not perfection. If you always aim for perfection, we're never going to do anything. Coming from a personality, someone that is like, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z, and then I'll have to make sure that it is the way that I wanted to do it. You have to just do it, right? It's not going to be perfect. We're human beings. We're not perfect. So work on the consistency. Forget about the perfection. So this week, as you start your new year, I challenge you to set one SMART goal and write it down. Write down your why. Share it with me on Instagram if you like, at nutrition_with_Leonila, or email me at fueledbyleo@gmail.com. Text it to me at 559-512-0404. or share it with someone else. You can post it on social media. Just write it on a sticky note and put it somewhere on your desk or somewhere where you see it all the time as a way to keep you accountable. Next week, we'll dive into building healthy habits that stick with practical tips you can implement right away. Don't miss it. Remember to turn on your notifications, follow me, so that way you get the episode right away. Again, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with a friend who could use some inspiration for their goals. Your support helps us grow and reach more people. Thank you so much for tuning in to Simple Nutrition Insights. Until next time, stay consistent and take it one step at a time. Happy New Year. I know you're going to do amazing. You are amazing. So I want you to remember that. Keep going strong. And if you feel that you need more support, please don't hesitate to send me a text, send me an email, join me on social media. I'm here to support you. All right, my friend, take care. Happy 2025. Bye-bye for now. This podcast, the links and resources provided are for the purpose to educate only and are not a replacement for medical advice or nutrition therapy. I suggest you seek out the help of a trained professional to help you with your specific situation and needs.